Officers put her in handcuffs. That's the very first thing I heard as I stepped out onto my porch that morning. And let me tell you, nothing in this world prepares you to see your own wife, standing barefoot in the driveway, getting pointed at by a woman who acts like she runs the whole block. I mean, there she was, Angela, not yelling, not threatening, not even talking, just standing there in the sunlight, head shaved clean from chemo, arms crossed, staring straight ahead, as if daring the world to blink first. You ever seen someone take a punch and just not flinch? That was her. And the officer standing beside her wasn't even a real cop, just some HOA busybody in a security vest, puffed up like he was on an episode of Cops. You know what I mean? You move into these nice neighborhoods thinking, sure, there'll be rules about trash cans and mailboxes, but you never expect the war to come knocking just because your wife gets cancer. You never expect your life to become a spectacle. You're suffering to get taped to your front door in the form of a $250 a day fine for appearance violations. I laughed the first time I read it. I really did. Angela didn't. She folded the letter, set it quietly in the drawer, and said, "Let it go, John. It's not worth it." But let me back up a sec. Angela's 50, proud, and just about the bravest person I know. When the doctor said breast cancer, stage 2, she didn't cry. She just got this look like, okay, then, what's next? The day the chemo started taking her hair, she went out on the porch with clippers and shaved the rest herself, every stroke of that blade saying, "I am still here." I can't tell you how beautiful she looked, standing there in her pajamas, head shining, face set. But not everybody saw it that way. Karen did, though. Karen, the HOA president, the self-appointed queen of our cul-de-sac. You ever meet someone whose sunglasses never come off and who walks like every sidewalk's a red carpet? That's Karen. She sees Angela bald, and her face just curdles. By sunrise the next day, we've got a violation notice taped to our door about community-friendly presentation. $250 a day if we don't correct it. Like cancer's a weed you can just pull out of the yard. The fine stacked up. Neighbors started mumbling things. Tough break, John, or rules are rules. Like there's some rule in the world that says a woman can't fight for her life in her own driveway. Gossip spreads quick in places like this. Pretty soon, folks are walking wide circles around Angela, like she's contagious, like her baldness might rub off on their property values. It was ugly, and as her husband, and as the sheriff of this county, it made my blood boil. Yeah, I'm the sheriff. I know the laws of this county like the back of my hand. There is not a single statute about a woman's hair. But Karen doesn't deal in laws. She deals in fear. She tapes up letters, sends newsletters about community standards, never naming Angela, but making sure everybody knows who the problem is. Some neighbors turned colder. A couple, quietly, reached out, if you need anything, but most just watch from behind their curtains. You want to know what courage looks like? It looks like Angela refusing to let Karen steal her peace. When I asked her how she kept so calm, she said, "If I let her win, then cancer wins twice. I won't let that happen." But every day, I saw it wearing on her, the way she'd stand a little straighter when Karen was near, but slump inside when the door closed. I decided right then, nobody was going to bully my wife out of her own home. Not while I had breath. So, I started collecting. Photos of every notice. Voicemails dripping with Karen's poison. Logs of every fine, every cent they claimed we owed. Angela, for her part, kept meeting Karen's nastiness with calm, never yelling, never stooping. "I'm living my life, Karen. You should try it sometime." And that calm, it drove Karen nuts. Things escalated at the next HOA meeting. Normally, these things are about Christmas lights or tennis court repairs, but this time, the room was packed. Karen had made sure everyone would be there. She wanted an audience. She went straight for Angela, listing off appearance violations and making a show of our continued disregard. The crowd shifted, whispering, not sure whether to be horrified or entertained. That's when Angela stood up, yanked her scarf off, and told them all, "This isn't a hairstyle. This is cancer. This is me fighting for my life. If that offends you, maybe look in the mirror." Karen? She just sneered, said there were wigs, hats, scarves, that Angela had chosen this. I heard an audible gasp, and for the first time, a neighbor actually stood up for us. "Karen, she has every right to be here." But Karen kept pushing, called for double fines, talked about legal eviction, right there in front of the whole community. And I knew, right then, this was more than pettiness. This was harassment. This was abuse of power, and I was done letting it slide. I started treating it like a real case. Collected everything. The fake bylaws. Yep, Karen forged one just for Angela. Didn't even bother with the proper signatures. The flyers that circled Angela's head in red, like she was a wanted criminal. Neighbors started quietly slipping me copies, whispering apologies, and telling stories about Karen pressuring them to sign witness statements. All of it evidence. Then one night, I catch Karen's enforcers, two guys in fake tactical vests, snapping photos of our windows, like they're casing the house. That was it. I stepped out, badge gleaming, and let them know they were trespassing, harassing a cancer patient, and if they wanted to keep going, I'd see them in a real courtroom. They left rubber on the street. But Karen didn't stop. A week later, we get a final notice. Vacate in 30 days, or be forcibly removed. Angela just sat at the kitchen table with the letter, silent, asking, what if she really does get us kicked out? I told her, she won't. I've got proof. When the time comes, we'll end this. That time came sooner than I thought. One evening, there's a knock on the door, one of my own deputies, looking sick. John, Karen filed a complaint. Says Angela's unstable, a danger to herself and others. Board members signed it. Technically, we have to investigate. I closed the door, told him quietly, don't you dare put her through anything formal until I bring you the truth. He nodded. Angela was terrified, not of the law, but of the lies. Karen wanted her shamed, isolated, maybe even locked up. Whispers spread faster than fire in these places. Suddenly, people started talking. Poor thing, losing her mind. Angela shrank inside herself. It broke something in me, seeing that. That's when I decided, no more waiting. I pulled out the whole file, every fake bylaw, every flyer, every witness statement. I got sworn affidavits from neighbors Karen had bullied. Piece by piece, I built a case that showed exactly who was breaking the law, and it sure as hell wasn't Angela. Then came the night Karen staged her finale. Cars lined the street, neighbors filming, sirens flared as 2 squad cars pulled up. Karen strutted out in front, shouting, "That's her, arrest her." Angela, wrapped in a scarf, stood by me, not running, just breathing. The rookie officer hesitated, glancing from me to Karen. That's when I stepped forward in uniform, badge shining in the dusk, and said, "Officers, stand down. Nobody here is under arrest tonight." The crowd gasped. Karen went beet red. "You can't interfere. You're just protecting your criminal wife." I just held up the thick folder, flipped through every piece of her fraud, and said, "This is what real crime looks like." Neighbors started murmuring, then cheering, then clapping. Someone shouted, "We're with you, Sheriff." And for the first time in months, Angela smiled. Not a weak, tired smile, but a real, proud one. Karen screamed, threatened lawsuits, accused me of abuse of power, but the neighborhood had turned. I looked the officers in the eye, told them Karen was now the one under investigation. "Escort her back to her house," I said. "And if she steps foot on my property again, she'll be the one in cuffs." The next week, the board called an emergency meeting. Karen tried to spin it, said the police presence was staged, that she was protecting the community. I waited until she was done, then laid out every piece of evidence. Fake amendments, defamatory flyers, forged signatures. One neighbor even stood up and shouted, "You told me if I didn't sign, I'd be fined." The board was silent, shamed, exposed. Then my deputies came in and read Karen her rights. Right there, in front of the people she'd ruled over for years, she was cuffed and led away, still ranting about conspiracies. Angela didn't clap or cheer. She just sat tall, her bald head glowing in the fluorescent lights. That night, we walked home under the stars, for the first time feeling like the neighborhood belonged to us again. But you know what? The real win wasn't Karen's arrest or the way her clipboard empire crumbled overnight. It was seeing Angela walk outside, head bare, waving to neighbors who used to look away and now called her a warrior. It was casseroles on our doorstep, old men apologizing for staying quiet, people realizing they didn't have to live in fear of bullies. The prosecutor threw the book at Karen. The board stripped her title, and she was banned from ever holding office again. Turns out, the only thing uglier than a bald head to Karen was a little accountability. Angela blossomed. One afternoon, She left her scarf inside for good, and nobody blinked, not even the kids. She had survived cancer and a neighborhood's cruelty, and now she was the face of resilience. The place changed, too. People talked more, shared food, helped each other out. For the first time since we'd moved in, Mapler actually felt like a community. Listen, cancer is a cruel enemy, but what shocked me was how much crueler a neighbor could be. Someone who believed rules mattered more than kindness, that appearances mattered more than humanity. But she was wrong. Angela taught me that real strength is quiet. It's showing up, bald and smiling, and daring the world to see the person instead of the illness. And when I finally brought Karen down, it wasn't about revenge. It was justice. Not just for Angela, but for every person who's ever been bullied for something they can't control. So, if you're listening, don't let anyone shame you for what you're going through. Don't let appearances define your worth. Stand tall. And if you see someone getting bullied, be the one to speak up. Silence is how tyrants win. Courage is how they fall. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from and what you'd have done in my shoes. And hey, stick around. You never know when the next HOA drama might make you rethink what justice really looks like.